Men are approximately 624% more likely to separate from a woman if the woman gets sick. If a man becomes terminally ill and his wife becomes the caretaker, there is a 2.9% separation rate. If the woman is terminally ill and their male partner becomes the caretaker, they leave at a 21% rate, which basically means that men are approximately 624% more likely to separate from a woman if the woman gets sick.
Men will stay in the unhappiest of unhappy marriages so long as that marriage continues to be convenient for him. But men in seemingly happy marriages will leave very quickly, like if she gets sick. I want to read you some comments from a thread on one of my videos. I married the nicest, most caring, chivalrous man I'd ever met. Left me penniless because I got cancer. I can't be with a sick person, he said. I met the kindest, nicest man ever, and then when I was in the hospital, he left me, no contact, and I got a letter in the mail 3 months later saying, I love you, but I've decided to divorce you. Something about how my health issues were too much for him to handle. I've been abandoned postpartum because I'm having trouble keeping up with chores. Mine divorced me when I got sick too. My paychecks dried up. I wasn't useful anymore. 15 years of that facade. I got abandoned for a spinal injury. I believed he was my best friend. We'd been together for well over a decade. Mine was horrible, life-altering, 10-month-long depression. Married 35 years, got diagnosed with lupus 5 years ago. He left last year. Mine left when I was getting chemo because he didn't feel loved. When I was in grade school, my teacher got pancreatic cancer and had a special needs son. The husband left her for a mistress during treatment. My auntie stayed with her cheating husband while he was sick and took care of him. The moment he got better, he left her and their child. 11 years, 3 living children, and 1 who passed. I had a vestibular disorder and refused to go gamble and to bars, so he cheated. He asked me to stay somewhere else to recover for my hysterectomy due to cancer because it was negative to be around me recovering from cancer and surgery. You need to understand that when men take those vows of in sickness and health, they mean their sickness and your good health.
624% of men are more likely to leave their partner, leave their wife if she becomes terminally ill, whereas women overwhelmingly stay. That was the statistic that was said on the Diary of Ace O's podcast, right? Where these 2 men discussed why is it that men are so more likely to leave when their wife or their partner, female, becomes ill. The podcast gave numbers, right? So in the event that the husband, the man, should fall ill and it's the wife that is the caretaker, there's actually a 2.9 separation rate, right? So 2.9% of women, wives, would actually leave their husband. Now, when the roles are reversed, right, and it's the woman who falls ill and the husband has to be the caretaker, there is a 21% separation rate. 21% separation rate. Now, if you were to present this question to a group of women, we would let you know that we already know this. We already know this. Even if we didn't experience this, we knew this because our grandmothers, our aunts, our mothers, almost every woman in our lives have warned us of this. They told us this, right? We may have not known the statistics, we may have not had the numbers, but we knew this. And if you were to ask those women into depth, why do you think that is? They let you know that, we just believe, or they believe, that men can't really function outside of a marriage, especially after they've already entered it. See, marriage benefits men to the detriment of women. You understand? They get more out of it. When the woman now can't be a wife, basically cannot continue on with her role in this marriage, he's quick to want to replace her. He's quick to want to replace her. But see, the men in this podcast actually interviewed a couple of men, and they got the answer, which was they lose attraction due to the lack of emotional and physical connection or intimacy. They lose attraction and they just leave. They leave. Mind you, she's fighting for her life. She's fighting for her life. And because you can't get any because she's fighting for her life, you leave her. You leave her. And now you guys wonder why less women are getting married. Now you wonder why more and more women are starting to feel like being with men is a humiliation ritual. Why the hell would I sign up for that? Why would I sign up for that? The statistics show that me as a woman, if I were your caretaker, I'm rocking with you until the wheels fall off. You now, because you can't get no nookie, you're gonna leave me. That's crazy. But you know what? I commend those men for being honest and telling the truth. Because you are no longer getting that emotional or physical intimacy, you lose attraction and you don't want to be there anymore. I thank you. I thank you for being honest. I really do.
Why do men leave women who are sick? You've probably heard the wedding vows in sickness and in health, but as a divorce lawyer, I can tell you that when sickness comes, a lot of men don't stick around. Studies even back it up that men are 7 times more likely to leave a seriously ill spouse than women are. Why? Because for a lot of men, love is conditional. They loved who you were, not who you become when life gets hard. Many men don't know how to handle being a caretaker. They're used to being taken care of. And when that dynamic flips, they check out. Some men marry for comfort, not for commitment. They love having a wife who cooks, cleans, and holds their life together. But when the woman they married needs care instead of giving it, they panic. They weren't in love with you. They were in love with the role you played in their life. Meanwhile, women, they stay, they fight, they push wheelchairs, sit through chemo appointments, and do whatever it takes because for them, love isn't just about the good days. It's about all the days. So what's the takeaway? Pay attention to how a man shows up when you're not at your best. Does he disappear when you're sick? Does he get frustrated when you need help? Does he act like your problems are an inconvenience? Because if a man can't handle you at your weakest, he doesn't deserve you at your strongest.
You want to know the reason that most men leave their wives when they get sick? The reason that most men leave their wives when they get sick is because a lot of men marry for convenience. That's either they marry someone to split the bills with them, they marry someone to do the housework, to bear children, to be a maid, a cleaner, a chef. They may have love for the woman, but a lot of men will marry out of convenience or because it's what they think they're supposed to do. And so when a woman gets sick and she's no longer able to fulfill those duties that he married her for, men don't suffer unhappiness lightly. Men do not sit and suffer for the sake of other people. Women will. That is why women will stay in bad relationships, because they have empathy for other people. They feel like it's what they're supposed to do. Men don't care about anyone but themselves. So to ask a man to sit in a marriage where it's no longer benefiting him, he will not do it. This is why so many women say to marry the man who loves you more, because if your man didn't marry you because he loves you for who you are, not for what you do for him, he will leave you the second that things get hard. He will leave you the second that things aren't working exactly the way that he wants them to do, or you're not doing what he thinks that you should be doing. So marry the man who loves you for you. And that is why women can marry men that they grow to love over time, because women, we just care more about people. We have more empathy. So we will stay in situations with men even when they lose their jobs, when they get sick, when they're not able to fulfill everything that they were when we were married to them.
So imagine being in a hospital room with your closest friends and your closest family, and a doctor comes in and tells you, sits you down in front of everyone and says, "We think you're going to have to take your husband off life support." You're 8 weeks pregnant, okay? 8 weeks pregnant. Now, imagine 8 weeks prior to that, you had left your husband for an entire week because you had enough of his shit and enough of the turmoil, the arguing, the bickering, the just all of it. It was too much. It was too much. So, right? Okay. So, all of that, imagine that. In that moment when the doctor says you may have to take your husband off life support, you're devastated. Even though you wanted to leave your husband, you committed. When you found out he was sick, right? You found out he had cancer, you decided to stay. So in that moment, you were devastated and thought, how can I go on? How can life go on? He didn't die. He didn't die. And instead, you chose to stick by his side. It still was hard. It still was devastating and life-altering and crushing, and you felt like, if I had just stayed gone, what would life have been like? Would he have survived without me? That's a good question. He survived, and your marriage was still horrible. You got divorced like 2 or 3 years later, okay? So while women stay when men are diagnosed with cancer and are sick, men don't do the same. In fact, I got my second divorce after I myself was diagnosed with cancer. We as women are taught to be the caregivers. Men see sickness and cancer and anything, even childbirth, as some way to escape, to leave. It's not meant for them. They can't do it. They can't handle it. Imagine a world where men could actually find it in them to be there for their spouse or their girlfriend or whomever because they were taught empathy and they were taught how to be caregivers. Providers are not the same as being a caregiver. It's just not. Just imagine a world, because I don't think moving forward that it's still going to we're not going to create a world where men are going to be caregivers. And as time goes on, I think we're going to find more and more and more and more and more of the loneliness epidemic, because men in their old age can't care for someone else. And we as women are becoming aware of that. And we as women don't want to take care of them in their old age. Period.